President Smith,
Here.
Mayor Mo.
I'm here.
All right. Agenda item number 3 is the report of the mayor and city council. And I will start with Councilman DeBoer.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple things. If you drive into our great city, remember that most of our streets in our city are speed limit 25. And if you get if you get a ticket for speeding or a police officer pulls you over and you get that ticket, you're well deserving of it if you're going over a 25-mile speed limit, because we have a lot of residential areas and we've had citizens hit by vehicles that were driving recklessly or carelessly. Also, if you're driving down Main Street, we have a large contingency of seniors at the Selborne House. And if you come down Main Street, please drive at least even try to get lower than 25. Nothing is more important than our seniors trying to cross the street on Main Street. So please, when you come into our city, drive the speed limit and be cautious of pedestrians crossing the street. Thank you.
All right. Next, I will go to Councilman Cole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since we've had one of these meetings, but I'll keep it brief. On June 13th, I attended the Laurel Cats fundraiser at Mango's Grill. On June 21st, I attended the open house at Goody Mansion to see everything that our committees have done there. On June 24th, I attended the Laurel Police Department Summer Block Party. The last week of June, we were all at the Maryland Municipal League. I completed 7 classes that count towards my Academy of Excellence in Local Government certification. And finally, this past Friday night, I was at the Parks and Recreation Summer Movie Night at Goody Park. Those will run every Friday night for the remainder of July. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Councilman Sidnor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On June the 16th, I attended the Beth Temple, the Hindu temple here in Beltsville. They had Dr. Swami there. He's one of the 7 monks in leadership throughout the Hindu religion. Also, June 17th, we had our Juneteenth celebration. June 17th, I attended Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, Zeta Chi Sigma chapter. They had 13 young men that's in their club called Sigma Beta Club that completed a leadership class. So I presented them with a citation from the city. Also on June 19th, I attended an event in Washington, D.C. Like Councilman Cole said, June 26th to June 28th, we attended the Maryland Municipal League Conference. Then on July the 1st, we had our 44th Independent Day celebration. I attended that as well. On 4th of July, I attended American Legions, went out there, hung out with fellow veterans, share some war stories. And this past Friday night, July the 7th, I attended a gala, the 3rd Education Festival for Teachers, that was honored out there in Sunset Park in the National Harbor. That concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sidnor. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot. So going back to June, we had the Juneteenth celebration. I did come out and celebrate the Juneteenth celebration. It was a good event, and definitely kudos to the committee for putting it on. And earlier that day, we did an expungement clinic at Grace Life Center. And so we helped several people clear their criminal record. And, was very proud of that because, getting freedom on paper is important. And it's something that we definitely look to continue to do. Let me go down. On the 18th, I went to a Father's Day brunch in Beltsville. Camera turned off there. Apologize. On the 22nd, I did a walkthrough, or I guess a business tour at Prosperity Clinic, which is here in Laurel. So that was fun. I also got to attend the Laurel's Farmers Market on the 22nd for the first time. So definitely kudos to them. And I can say I did see them passing out reusable bags. So I can say that firsthand. Let me see. On the 24th to the 27th, I attended with my colleagues and a lot of people from the city, the Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference. It was very well attended. And we even got to see Governor Wes Moore down there during the PGCMA. So it was great to see a lot of state level and then also our local level officials that we don't generally get to see from across Maryland. And once we came back, I attended a cannabis virtual business opportunities seminar put on by Delegate Pina Melnick and the Marion, Maine business owner, Hope Wiseman. And it was very well attended, especially for Hispanics looking to get into the business. I got to stop by More Than Java on the 30th of June. They had a food truck come by and serving vegan food. So, it was very cool to have vegan food options and try some of those options. I got to attend the 4th of July parade on July 1st this year. And it was, a very, very good event. I also got to go to Laurel Lake Senior Apartments later that, or not Laurel Lakes, I'm sorry, Selborne. They had a barbecue for their residents later that day. And so it was great to be able to stop by there. Yesterday, I got to attend St. Mark's Church right there across from the library. And it was very good because one of the things I realized, the city of Laurel has given them a plaque to acknowledge some of their history a couple months ago. And St. Mark's was a target by the Ku Klux Klan, and today actually marks 56 years since that attempt. And so it was, a very good moment to actually see that plaque and, to actually realize, I went the day before this anniversary. And, that is the conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. I'll go myself before I move on to Mayor Mo. And I'll try to keep it a little brief. June 18th, of course, I was at the Juneteenth celebration. Kudos to the Juneteenth committee for a job well done. It's their second time doing it. I'm looking forward to the years to come. I was at the Laurel Police Block Party on June 24th as well. I caught the tail end of it after leaving church. And of course, I was at the MML conference, June 25th to the 28th. I enjoyed walking in the July 4th parade as a candidate, but more importantly, just seeing all the community out waving and enjoying our celebration of the U.S.'s birthday. On July 4th, I went to the U.S. Capitol and I enjoyed the U.S. Capitol's 4th of July celebration, which was a concert, beautiful concert, well attended with fireworks after. And July 10th, today, I attended a Golden Shovel Award. We presented an award to one of our constituents here, and they were very appreciative of it, and I think it was a beautiful thing. And lastly, I'd like to just shout out my mother's birthday, which is coming up the 13th. I just want to say happy birthday to her. Very lucky to have her, and she'll be 74 years young. And, I'm just grateful she's still here, and she's my only parent I have left. And that concludes my report. Mayor Mo?
Thank you, Mr. President. Condolences to the family and friends of former City of Laurel employee Janice McCabe. Ms. McCabe worked for the Laurel Police Departments in the Records Division for 20 years and passed away last week. We offer condolences, and our city flag is flying at half-staff in her memory and honor. we thank her for her service and her family. Again, we give condolences. I did have the opportunity to attend the CATS fundraiser event on the 13th, and appreciate the work they continue to do in our community. The Historical Society Board had their reception, and again, I want to thank them and appreciate the painting that was presented to me as well. On the 17th of June, Ted Metzger, who passed away 30 years ago, his daughter had a celebration of life at Riverfront Park, right there at the, if you go down to the park, you'll see where the old storage facility was there. And that area of the park is in honor of Ted, excuse me, Ted Metzger. Ted was the one that designed our seal, very involved in the JCs, very involved in Laurel 4th of July committee, many things in the city. And we want to acknowledge and remember Ted for all that he did. Prosperity Clinic Summer Fun Fair, I had the opportunity to stop by, and I appreciate the work they're doing, the opportunity to stop by. They really were at the Juneteenth event. They were going to actually have the fair at their facility, but instead they worked with the Juneteenth committee and brought that together for them. So it was nice to, although it wasn't their summer fun event, it was there at their tent. We talked and appreciate all that they do, as well as the Juneteenth committee. I want to acknowledge the hard work of the committee, as well as Councilman Sidnor and our council president, who's members of that committee. And fine day, worked out very well. And again, we thank the committee for all their hard work that they do in putting this event together. Did have the Goody Mansion soft opening, and I think that was well attended and all went well. And appreciate Bill. We appreciate the Department of Park and Recs for getting that ready and all they do, as along with our CRA that is heavily involved with that facility. On the 22nd, I did attend the Citizens Police Academy graduation. I want to acknowledge all of their hard efforts and thank the police department, all the officers who participated in that for a fine graduation, and we hope to have many more of those graduations. The also lifelong resident, or the family of, is Russell Meehan, passed away. Russell was only 63 years old, and had the opportunity to go by and provide condolences on behalf of the mayor and city council to Russell's family and his friends, and well attended, and he'll be greatly missed. The Laurel Amateur Radio Club did have their annual field day event. I want to thank our city administrator and others for getting by there. I was not able to get by since I was out of town. But again, the hard work that they do was acknowledged by others here in the city. You did hear the city of Laurel did attend the annual Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference. We were awarded a Banner City, again, which is one of the highest awards you can receive. This is our 17th year, I believe, that we have received that award. And that's kudos to the city council, the city staff, and even the community, because there's a lot of different things that you must meet goals to maintain that Banner City Award program. And again, I want to thank everybody and thank MML for again acknowledging us. That same day, at the as a past president of Maryland Municipal League, we had the past president's luncheon where we had the governor and lieutenant governor attend. And I want to thank Governor Moore and the lieutenant governor as well for the governor's citation they presented to me for the work that we're doing here in the city of Laurel, and I appreciate that very much. The same for the July 4th celebration. I want to thank the committee, Green Quebec, who's been our chairperson for many years, and the many volunteers. We could use more, believe me, and I want to thank them for all of their hard work. We had some rain issues again, but I think fireworks are outstanding, as well as the parade, the entire day's activities. Also want to shout out to Corrine as well. It's her birthday. and I want to wish her a happy birthday as well. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the viewing and the funeral of John Starzak. John was West Laurel, very involved in Pilates and other areas around the town over the years. He had been a little bit under the weather, but complications occurred, and I wish Starzak family the very best on the passing of their father and friend. As you heard, we gave a golden shovel out today to Anya Markovi, I think is how it's pronounced, over on Ashford Boulevard. If you get the chance, we'll be posting some stuff on social media. Take a look. The more we get people involved in helping out and cleaning up their properties, the better it is for the entire city. I do want to announce that the Bowie Bay Sox is having a Laurel Community Night at the Prince George's Stadium. It starts at 5:30. The first pitch is at 6:35 p.m. There is local businesses that will be there. And we do have a limited number of tickets, free tickets, if anyone's interested in the community that would like to go. If they contact my office, we'll make sure you have it. So long as tickets last, we'll get tickets to you. And I think the police department has some tickets as well. I want to and make sure everybody knows about that. And hopefully we'll see on Saturday on the 15th at 5:30. Also on July the 25th, there's the Cut the Truck event. This is a great event. It's usually a big turnout. It'll be at Emancipation Park there on 8th Street from 6:30 to 8. Mr. President, I do have a couple of appointments and reappointments. If you're okay with, I'd like to move forward with those. Joseph DiGiovanni for the Tree Board. Marion Clifford, the Board of Appeals. Ryan Reed, these are reappointments for the Education Committee. Asa UD, I think is how it's pronounced, the Education Advisory Committee, and Rhonda Whitley, Youth Services Commission. And I'd ask for council's confirmation on those appointments.
Can I get a motion on the appointments?
Yeah, Mr. President, I make a motion to appoint Joseph Donovan to the Tree Board and Marshall Clifford to the Board of Appeals, and the reappointment Ryan Reed, Education Advisory Committee, and also UD, Education Advisory Committee, and Rhonda Whitley, the Youth Services Commission.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
I don't think he heard you.
Councilman Mitchell, President Smith,
Yes.
motion
Thank-
carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Mr. Mayor. I just
Mr.
have-
President, can I
Sure.
interject before you go to the next thing? We forgot to shout out Laurel TV for the live fireworks presentation they had that's on Laurel TV. So Laurel Communication Department, thank you for all you do for the live presentation that you guys done.
Thank
was
you
just
for
about to-
recognizing that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So thank you, Laurel TV. Thank you to the July 4th committee. I didn't shout you out either. For you guys doing an outstanding job. And we did, the citizens,
yes.
we just wake up and we just assume that it just happens, but it doesn't just happen. It happens because of you guys. So thank you. I have an announcement before I move on to the general public hearing. The July 24th meeting of the Mayor and City Council meeting will be held virtually via Zoom at 6 p.m. instead of in person due to work being done in the council chamber. So hopefully everyone hears that and doesn't show up. Moving on to agenda item number 5, the general public hearing, which I'll open at 6:21 p.m. Madam Clerk, you gave me a list of speakers. I have 6. And just a reminder that we have a 3-minute limit per speaker. Also, as I call your name, please come up to the lectern Oh, well, you're here. Please come up and provide your name and address for the record. And I will call on the first speaker. If you'd like to wait till we get to that item, you can do so as well. So a lot of you, I see one for agenda item number 5, and that's Catherine Wright. And so I will call on you. You have the floor. Is there Catherine?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So my name is Kate Wright, and I have lived on First Baptist Lane for 14 years. Following the June 5th meeting between Pulte Homes and surrounding communities, I dedicated all my free time to a petition and document I'm sure each of you are familiar with, because I believed it was the right thing to do. And I implore each of you to do the right thing. I understand that the city may respond to some of my concerns with a variation on, we investigated ourselves and found we did nothing wrong. And that is a dismissive reply to avoid taking responsibility, a feeble excuse to avoid fixing mistakes, to avoid doing what's right. Each of you has a duty to prioritize what is best for the city and your constituents, not merely meeting a minimum standard, and it goes far beyond maximizing the number of taxable households. Your constituents deserve better than accepting past errors or choosing to do nothing. You do not have a duty to Pulte Homes. Even if they were to go bankrupt, if you told them they could not build the 300 houses planned, that's not your concern. Your concern is ending a history of failing to meet the city's master plan for parkland, affordable housing, and easing traffic. Your concern is Miss McCormick on Arcsine Lane, or the Edwins on High Point Trail, or the 130 other residents who have made their desires clear. And given time, I could get more signatures. The development is universally despised by your constituents. This year, 2 of you are running for re-election and 3 of you are running for mayor. In a city where elections have been decided by as few as 16 votes with Ed Ricks in 2017, the voices of 130 residents from just 4 neighborhoods should be compelling. And I firmly believe that each of you would not be here now or running for election this fall if you didn't have the best interest of this city at heart, if you didn't have a genuine passion for doing what's right. I'm still waiting for answers about the process to fix the corridor center zoning, if such a process exists, and what actions are available to me and my neighbors if not. While the city's working on addressing my questions, Pulte Homes is working on their design. The window to take action is closing. So if the mayor and city council are not powerless, if you are not beholden to developers, but instead to the citizens you're elected to represent, they have made their desires clear. They do not want the corridor center as it is currently planned, and they want you to take action to fix it. To me, choosing to do the right thing has always seemed so obvious a choice. So I'm asking you to choose to do what's right for the citizens that you represent. And that's all I have to say today, and I'll see you again on the 24th for my next 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright.
Mr. President, if I might, just for the record,
Mr. Mayor.
we are working on a response. We've gotten numerous requests and we will respond to that accordingly, as well as there has been, and I want to make sure people understand this, there has been nothing that has been submitted to the city yet. And when that does, we'll make sure the public is aware of it and that they have access to all that information. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, I have, well, this item number 19. So the rest are signed up for items that are later down the line. So I guess I'll call on them when those items come up. All right, and I'll close the general public hearing at 6:26 p.m. Agenda item number 6 is consideration of a bid recommendation for resurfacing of outdoor tennis and basketball courts, Departments of Recreation. Director Bailey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor and City Council. As discussed in our work session on July 5th, the Department of Parks and Recreation is requesting approval to repair and resurface the outdoor tennis courts and basketball courts in our parks. They all have, they're in need of repair, and they'll be receiving crack filler, top coating, surface coloring, and new lines. Several of the courts need additional work. and those are Greenview Drive Tennis Courts and Mulberry Tennis Courts. We received 3 bids for this work. First one was Go Mark Sports out of Kensington, Maryland for $600,298. Asphalt Star out of Millersville for $567,175. And the third one was Keystone Sports Construction out of Phoenixville, PA for $354,927.37. Funding for this expenditure is provided for in the adopted FY 23 CIP Major Facility Maintenance Project. It is recommended that the city accept the bid of $354,927.37 from Keystone Sports Construction out of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, with a 15% contingency of $53,239.10 for a total project cost of $408,166.47. That's let me try that again. $408,166.47. Keystone is a member of Sourcewell contract number 060518-AST. I'm available if you have any questions.
Are there any questions or comments before I move forward on this?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Bailey.
Councilman Sinner?
Yeah, but I know you guys vetted this very well. I know that we always try to go with a state, a local vendor first, and then go to a state vendor. And I see that as a big difference, like you mentioned in the price from Keystone compared to Asphalt, Maryland's Millersville, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So we ever worked with Keystone before?
We have not, but they've got a very reputable background. In fact, their references, some of their local references included McDaniel College, Cattail Creek Country Club, which is right there in, I'm trying to think of the, can't think of where they're out of. Bowie State University and Garrett County. They're all very reputable places that, you know, and they're nationally known as well. I must say, if you look at their website, there's other big time schools that they've represented as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know you probably won't know the direct answer for this stuff, but why do you think asphalt's so expensive?
I can't answer that. I mean, they were all given the same specs.
Yeah.
You know, it's whatever they feel, maybe more overhead on their part. I think one of the reasons could be that, you know, Asphalt Star is more of a asphalting company, so they're probably going to be subbing out a lot of their work, whereas Keystone is a true surfacing company. They do all the work in-house, so that right there tells you they're saving money right there.
Yeah, well, thank you for vetting these. I think that saved the city a lot of money as well, even though they weighed out in I thought it was in Arizona, but it's Pennsylvania. But, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Council President, I have a question for Bill.
Councilman DeWalt?
Bill, every time I turn the TV on now, I see that pickleball thing going on. People look like they're really enjoying it. Is that just the basic tennis court that they play on, or does there have to be something added on it for them to play that pickleball thing?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So we have pickleball right now in the Armory. We do it indoors, and I think people like that because it is indoors, it's air conditioned. We are going to have one of these courts and maybe more, depending on if there's any additional funding to be saved here. But we are looking at turning one of these courts into a multi-purpose use. So it'll have tennis court and pickleball use on it. As well as if we can do this as well, we're going to have one of the courts turned into a very multi-purpose use, meaning they're going to have the handball, pickleball, tennis court. It'll have it all in one court. You know, you don't see the handball court much anymore. And we did have a request from a resident. So we're going to see if we can accommodate that and one of our courts as well. But we are looking into either taping down lines for pickleball or actually painting the lines on for pickleball. but we are looking to add it. Our other courts are very well used for McCullough Field especially is used really for tennis courts. You don't see that much for pickleball, but we are looking at trying to explore other courts to use for pickleball.
Thanks.
Yep.
Are there any other comments or questions from the council before I move forward? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a recommendation to award the contract to Keystone Sports Construction and the bid, Derek DeBelly, read on record.
Can I get a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell. Councilman Mitchell. President Smith,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Moving on to agenda item number 7 is consideration of a bid recommendation LA 2307 Laurel Avenue Street Improvement Project. Department of Public Works Director Lee, you have.
Yes.
Thank you, Council President Smith, council members.
Yes.
No, sorry, Director Lee. This just seems to be a delay on your device, Councilman Mitchell. That's what seems to be happening. Director Lee, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Smith, Mayor Moore, and council members. As discussed at the work session, the Department of Public Works is requesting approval for construction of project number LA 23-07 Laurel Avenue improvements. The project includes the construction and repair of the concrete sidewalk, the asphalt on Laurel Avenue from 1st Street westerly to 5th Street, and then resuming at 6th Street and Laurel Avenue to 8th Street and Laurel Avenue for its entire length. At a sealed bidding at 10 a.m., June 20th, 2023, the city received a total of 12 bids. I will not read the 12 bids. I will give you the winning bid. And of course, I'm open if you have any questions about the others. The winning bid is for Stanley Concrete at a total price of $174,836 with a contingency of $25,164 for a total of $200,000. Stanley Concrete is a certified disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise, small business enterprise out of Annapolis Junction, Maryland. And they have done previous work for the city before. Funding is from the adopted FY 2024 CIP Laurel Avenue Street improvements. My recommendation is that we accept the bid from Stanley Concrete. I'm available for any more questions.
Are there any questions or comments from the council before we move forward?
Mr. President, I have a comment.
Sure, Councilman DeWalt.
I would, since we're talking about an area that goes up near 7th Street and the library and Laurel Elementary School, when we talk about walkable Laurel, it ends at 6th Street when you come down from Route 1 and you go all the way up to 6th Street. Right at 6th Street, it ends, because once you get to 7th Street, if you find a sidewalk, when they built that whole complex there, they left out certain areas with sidewalks. And the only crosswalks that go up from the elementary school, which is only 2 blocks away. I mean, it's a perfect location for the elementary school kids, the teacher to get them out, take them for a nice walk up to the Laurel Library, but there's no valid crosswalks in that whole stretch there. There is one at 198, which is very, very dangerous. I would never take a child or a group of children on that sidewalk that borders that area because it's way too dangerous. And then you have to go all the way down Montgomery Street. You have about 4 other streets that will connect Laurel Elementary School with our library. And I've gotten numerous complaints, not only that you can't walk up to that library and feel safe, but the exorbitant amount of traffic that comes from Gorman Avenue up to 16 into Howard County and the ones that come from Howard County all the way to 216. And before anybody says anything, oh, well, that's state highways, that's their responsibility. I understand that that's a state road. The whole thing is, even with radars, not radar units, and putting them on state highways, the state has already approved putting radar on a state highway, and all you have to do is prove a safety thing and write it up to the state highways, and they'll give you permission. This is the same thing if we can get at least one single crosswalk. There's 4 streets to choose from. You would have to might do a little extra work because I think there is one of those streets that have no sidewalks at all. But we could use another one of them streets with sidewalk on the one side. At least when you got up to 7th Street, you would have a marked crosswalk to get you to the Laurel Library. And what better thing would we have? And I also get the complaints about these cars that are cutting through our city and speeding on 7th Street. And they do it all the time. And I said, if you just stand there, you'll see the speeding. You'll see how dangerous it is, even for the postman. I saw him one day and he has to cut across that street. And you really have to walk fast because the cars just keep coming at a regular rate. And anytime we get close to that, I just want to keep reminding the city and our citizens and everything about the dangers that they face in trying to walk from a Laurel Elementary School up to a library. And I think it's time that we did something about it, and we got at least a crosswalk, but one of those hump crosswalks would be ideal because then it would slow that traffic down. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Mr. President, if I could respond just quickly,
Mr.
DeWalt, so he's aware. I was out the day and today with the city administrator riding around. That's some of the areas that we looked at, and we can't do it under this project, but we are going to be sitting down with the director here and talking about several different issues, crosswalks and sidewalk that needs to be done as well. So I want to keep everybody in the loop. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other comments or questions from the council before I move forward? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the bid recommendation for Laurel Avenue to Stanley Concrete LLC in the amount of $200,000.
All right, can I get a second?
I second. Is the amount correct though? I don't see 20,000.
Yes, Councilmember Sidney,
Okay.
it's correct. That's with the contingency.
Yeah, I was reading now.
Second.
Well, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right. Agenda item number 8 is consideration of a bid
Yes.
recommendation. LA 23-08 Compton Avenue Street Improvement Project. Department of Public Works, Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Thank you, President Smith, again. And as discussed at the work session, the Department of Public Works is requesting approval for project 23-08 Compton Avenue. This project also includes the construction and repair of concrete sidewalks, pedestrian ramps, concrete curbing, asphalt, resurfacing, and stormwater drain location assessments on that particular street. At a sealed bidding at 10 a.m. on June 28, 2023, the city received a total of 14 bids. I will not read all the bids unless specifically asked about certain ones. It is recommended that the contract be awarded again to Stanley, which was the lowest bidder, and which is a certified disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise, small business enterprise out of Annapolis Junction, Maryland, for the bid price of $122,692.99, with an additional contingency of $25,000 for the total of $147,692.99. As stated previously, Stanley Concrete has done work for the city before, and I'm available for any questions.
Any comments or questions from the council before we move forward? Thank you, Director Lee. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'll move to adopt and approve bid recommendation for Compton Avenue in the amount of $147,692.99.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, that's Councilman DeWalt. Second, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell. President Smith,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right.
Yes.
Agenda item number 9 is Fleet Acquisition 2024 Freightliner 10-ton dump truck. Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Council President. This is for the 2024 Freightliner 10-ton dump truck. The department is requesting approval to purchase a heavy-duty truck to replace fleet that has exceeded its existing lifespan. The department solicited several quotes from state and county vendors. The accepted quote is for $247,490 from Johnson Truck Center of Landover, Maryland, who is a vendor on a Sourcewell contract 060920-NAF. Based on the fleet schedule, we'll be replacing vehicle number 33, which is a 2013 10-ton dump truck. Funding for this vehicle is provided in the adopted FY 2024 CIP. It is recommended that the purchase of this dump truck be approved at a total cost of $247,490 to Johnson Truck Center of Landover, Maryland. Thank you.
Right. Any questions or comments on this? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, make a motion to approve Johnson Truck Center of Landover, Maryland, the amount of $247,490.
And can I get a second?
Mr. President, I'll second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell. President Smith,
Yes.
motion
Yes.
carries.
Right. Agenda item number 10 is Fleet Acquisition T-76 Bobcat Track Loader. Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Council President Smith. As discussed at the work session, this is for a Bobcat track loader. The department solicited several quotes, including vendors on the state and county contracts. The accepted quote is from Metro Bobcat of White Marsh, Maryland, who has the Sourcewell contract 040319-CEC in the amount of $79,750.64. This Bobcat tractor loader will replace vehicle number 77, which is a 2013 vehicle. Funding for this vehicle is provided in the adopted FY 2024 CIP Fleet Replacement Project. The total cost is $79,750.64. We're recommending that the equipment be purchased from Metro Bobcat of White Marsh, Maryland.
Any questions or comments from the council before we move forward? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Metro Bobcat of White Marsh, Maryland, for the Bobcat in the amount of $79,750.64.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell. President Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to agenda item number 11, Fleet Acquisition John Deere Utility Tractor. Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Thank you, President Smith. As discussed earlier, this is for the John Deere tractor that the Public Works, this tractor will replace a 2004 tractor which has exceeded its lifespan and is scheduled to be surveyed out. The department solicited several quotes from vendors. The accepted quote is from Finch Turf of Eldersburg, Maryland, which is through the Prince George's County contract, LK 040220-001, in the amount of $109,736.98. Funding is available through the adopted FY 2024 CIP fleet replacement. It is recommended that this purchase request be approved in a total cost of $109,736.98 to Finch Turf Incorporated of Eldersburg, Maryland.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Director Lee before we move forward? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve the bid recommendation for a total cost of $109,736.98 to Finch Turf of Eldersburg, Maryland.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Second it.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to agenda item number 12, fleet acquisition, 2023 Ford Mach-E vehicles. Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Thank you. As just reported out in the special work session earlier, these will be the city's first foray into all electric vehicles. And this, as I said before, would requires less maintenance and zero tailpipe emissions, resulting in significant savings over time and zero added depletion to the ozone layer. The department solicited several quotes, including from state and county vendors. The returned accepted quote is from Apple Ford of Columbia, Maryland, who has the Baltimore County contract, 0004504. The cost will be $55,795 for each vehicle, for a total cost of $111,590. Based on the fleet schedule, there are several administrative vehicles in the FY 2024 budget that are up for replacement that will be converting to EV and or hybrids based on pricing and availability. Funding is available through the adopted FY 2024 CIP fleet replacement project. The department is recommending approval of the two Mach-E EVs for a total cost of $111,590 to Apple Ford of Columbia, Maryland.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the council before we move forward? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve the purchase of two Mach-E EV vehicles from Apple Ford of Columbia, Maryland.
All right, can I get a second?
I second it.
Yeah, the Councilman Mitchell.
Right. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 13 is a bid recommendation for cybersecurity, Department of Information and Technology, Director Cornwall Shield. You have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Smith, council members, and Mayor Mo. The Department of Information Technology is requesting the council's approval to enter into a 3-year agreement for the acquisition and support of a cybersecurity platform that that we briefed you on in closed session. This platform does take over the role of several products that we have in place currently, and as such, the funding is available in our current FY 2024 IT General Operating Budget that was previously adopted by this council. The vendor for this purchase is SHI International Corporation. Sole source procurement is available under the Sourcewell Technology Catalog Solutions contract number 081419-SHI. There was a question brought up at the previous work session by Councilman Cole regarding the termination clause of this contract. There is no termination clause in this contract because of the nature of the contract. It is simply a 3-year annual payment contract. It is our recommendation that the council approve a 29-month subscription agreement with SHI for the Sourcewell contract price of $214,490.11. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions or comments from the council before we move forward? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 29-month subscription with SHI.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Madam Clerk, I abstain. I wasn't in a closed session, heard the information, but I trust that the council members in the city is doing the right thing on this contract. I don't want to vote on anything that I wasn't aware of all the information. That wasn't privy to the information.
thank you, Councilman Sidnor. President Smith,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to agenda item number 14 is consideration of a bid recommendation, in-car camera system, Department of Information and Technology, Director Cornwall Shield. You have the floor again.
Thank you again, Council President Smith, Mayor Mo, and council members. So as part of the continued technology uplift of police vehicles, the Department of Information Technology is engaging Axon Enterprise Incorporated of Scottsdale, Arizona, for the purchase of several new Fleet 3 systems, camera systems for the upcoming police vehicles that we are acquiring later this year, and upfitting the existing cameras in all of the current police Explorers to the Fleet 3 system. They are currently on the Fleet 2 system, and the Fleet 3 system adds considerable redundancy and features that will be greatly beneficial to our law enforcement agency. The agreement includes equipment, installation services, maintenance support, licensing for unlimited cloud storage, and retention for each camera, and a number of other features. This is a 5-year contract. Funding is provided in the adopted FY 2024 CIP under Information Technology Project, IT Police Technology. The total cost of the project is $370,551.25, and the purchase will be made using the Sourcewell contract 010720-AXN. It is the recommendation of the Department of Information Technology that the council approve this purchase. And should you have any questions or desire further information, I am available for question.
Thank you. All right, any questions or comments from the council? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve Director Cornwall Shield's recommendation on the in-car cameras.
Right, and can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt and Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman DeWalt, Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
President Smith,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Agenda item number 15 is the third public hearing with possible action on the ordinance number 2008. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to amend Chapter 9 miscellaneous provisions and offenses to modify Article 10, disposable plastic bags, to prohibit disposable plastic bags from being provided to customers in retail establishments at the point of sale, and to provide for penalties for the violation of this ordinance. I read the title into the record for the third time. The item for consideration includes edits that I drafted, which are as follows. Section 9-116, requirements for disposable paper bags. The fees in this section shall be waived. As a matter of fact, the fees in this section shall be waived for 1 year from the date this ordinance is enacted for any shopper who uses state or federal supplemental nutrition assistances program, known as SNAP, commonly known as food stamps, food coupons, or other type of allotment issued under 7 USC 211-2036, or with food instruments, food vouchers, other type of certificate issued under 42 USC 1786, special supplemental food program for women, infants, and children, or with pandemic electronic benefit transfer, PEBT, for any part of the transaction. E, a retail establishment shall post notices that advise customers to bring reusable carryout bags or to purchase reusable carryout bags, that each paper carryout bag is subject to a charge of at least 10 cents. F, the notices shall be posted at the public entrance to the retail establishment and at each point of sale and shall be in English and Spanish. The city shall post an example of the notice in English and Spanish on the city website. I'll open the public hearing at 6:58 p.m. Madam Clerk, you gave me a list, and I know we have 4 individuals signed up to speak. And I will start with Holly Hogland. Excuse me if I messed up your name. Ms. Hogland, are you there?
I don't see her logged in, Mr. President.
Okay. Then I will move on to Ms. Martha Ainsworth.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Mo, President Smith, and members of the City Council. I'm Martha Ainsworth, the chair of the Prince George's County Sierra Club Zero Waste Team, speaking on behalf of the Sierra Club's members and supporters in Prince George's County, urging you to support universal participation in Ordinance 2008 with no exemptions for restaurants or shoppers. The objective of the ordinance is behavior change to incentivize shoppers to bring their own carryout bags or not use one. This reduces single-use waste and its environmental health impacts. At the last public hearing, a concern was expressed that shoppers paying with SNAP or WIC electronic benefits may sometimes forget to bring a reusable bag and have to buy a paper bag for which the benefits cannot be used. This was offered as a reason why all shoppers paying with electronic benefits should be exempted from the carryout bag charge all of the time. However, this would remove the incentive for behavior change, weakening the benefits of the ordinance to everyone. Moreover, it's important to remember that the ordinance applies to all retailers in the city of Laurel, but the proposed exemption would only apply to shoppers paying with electronic benefits for food purchases at food stores within the city limits. It would not exempt them from bag charges if they're buying merchandise at retailers that do not sell food, or if they're buying food or non-food items in the rest of adjacent Prince George's or Anne Arundel counties after their laws go into effect on January 1st, 2024, with no shopper exemptions. An exemption for those using electronic benefits will produce, therefore, unnecessary complexity and confusion among retailers and shoppers using electronic benefits about what to expect at the checkout. An alternative, equitable, and inclusive approach is to ensure that all residents are fully informed of the policy and have access to reusable bags. We can expect a smoother transition away from single-use bags if the ordinance applies to all shoppers wherever they shop. To make sure that no shopper is surprised at checkout, however, we urge the council to require that starting 30 days before the start date of the ordinance, retailers post at their entrances a notice in English and Spanish that there will be a charge for carryout bags as of October 1st. Most jurisdictions don't enforce their ordinances for the first month or two that they're in effect, which gives additional time for retailers and shoppers to fully understand what is expected and to adapt. Finally, I'd like to underscore that the Sierra Club is not alone among environmental groups in support of universal participation in carryout bag ordinances. The Alice Ferguson Foundation, Anacostia Watershed Society, Potomac Riverkeeper Network, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Trash Free Maryland, and several Riverkeeper organizations all have testified in support of the Prince George's or Anne Arundel County bills with universal participation and no shopper exemptions. To conclude, congratulations on your excellent work on this bill, and we urge you to support it with the addition of signage requirements for retailers. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, next, I have the Sara Price. And this is just a reminder that each speaker has 3 minutes. I didn't say that. I know I said it at the first general public hearing, but I didn't say it right before this one. So just a reminder, we have 3 minutes to speak. Ms. Sara Price, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and honorable council members. My name is Sara Price, and I'm here on behalf of the Maryland Retailers Association in support of adding the 10-cent fee for paper bags retained by retail to the city's carryout bag ordinance. As I've shared before, paper bags cost a minimum of 4 to 5 times more than plastic, and a large plain paper grocery bag currently averages about 12 cents each for the retailer to bring into the store. Retailers are not looking to make any money off of a paper bag fee. They simply wish to offset the cost of a mandated transition to a more expensive material. We would strongly urge the council to pass this ordinance with one policy for all customers so that all shoppers have consistent expectations when they are running errands within the Laurel city limits and the surrounding area. No other jurisdiction in Maryland has exempted any shoppers from the aspects of their retail carryout bag policy. And as has been mentioned, both neighboring jurisdictions, Prince George's and Anne Arundel counties, have recently passed just last month their own ban and fee structure for all customers. In addition to increasing costs for stores that choose to accept SNAP and WIC benefits, which could result in reduced services and increased prices for customers both in and outside of Laurel, an exemption presents administrative operational issues. I have spoken with grocery stores about the ability to operationalize a fee exemption for these customers. And what I have learned is that the information displayed to a cashier about the payment used in a transaction will vary between stores with different point of sale systems and even between individual shoppers in the same store, depending on what occurs during the transaction. Per federal law, cashiers may not ask customers if they will be paying for their items using benefits. So the only way for a shopper to be absolutely sure that they would receive an exemption, should one exist, is to self-identify as a benefits customer to the cashier when making the purchase. And this would defeat the purpose of the federal policy disallowing for benefits customers to be treated any differently than anyone else. Including this exemption also completely removes any incentive for an entire group of shoppers to bring their own bag, and the fee can already be avoided by simply choosing not to take a single-use bag. We would support an amendment to add signage at the entrance to stores, and we supported similar language in both Prince George's and Anne Arundel counties. This will ensure that all customers know what they're walking into in every single store. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Next, I have Michael Wilson. Mr. Wilson, are you there?
Yes, I was trying to unmute. Thank you very much. My name is Michael J. Wilson. I am the director of Maryland Hunger Solution, a statewide, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to address hunger and food insecurity across the state. We are an authorized provider, and we provide assistance through a toll-free number, whether they call us from Laurel or Annapolis or Gaithersburg or any place in the state. And we recognize the challenges that low-income consumers have who are using SNAP. We know that in a post-pandemic era, the average benefit for a SNAP recipient is about $6 per person per day. And so it is a different experience already for many of these shoppers than other shoppers when they go to the store. We know that there are people who use SNAP who run out of benefits before the end of the month. And that doesn't happen to every customer. I'd like to directly contradict the conversation about retailers and their ability to use this. You know, Safeway is headquartered in California, where they have this policy. They have hundreds of stores in California, and they adhere to this policy. State of New York has this policy. Cities like Denver, Seattle, and Chicago. I don't want you to think Laurel is the only place that does this. It is true that my colleagues around the country say to me, what's wrong with Maryland? Why can't Maryland recognize that low-income consumers have a different experience? And my only answer is sometimes people recognize it and sometimes people don't. And so in the state of Maryland, in Prince George's County, there are over 100,000 SNAP recipients in the county. There's an additional 40,000 quick participants. And so this is 1 out of 10 residents in the county. I appreciate the thought about delaying the fee for a year. I think it gives you more time to recognize and see what's going on. But I do want to recognize that when we say we want everybody to have the same experience and that we want a universal policy that treats everyone the same, everyone is not treated the same. And for folks who go to the store and have to carry their groceries out because they don't have a bag and they can't pay for it with their benefits, the experience is different. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I have one last speaker on this item, Jennifer, excuse me if I mess up your last name, Coons.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Jennifer Kunze, but everybody says Kunz. I'm the Maryland Program Coordinator for Clean Water Action. We're a national environmental group that was founded originally to pass the Clean Water Act. And since then, we work for clean water, clean air, and healthy communities, especially here in our Maryland office. I'm in support of my colleague Michael's comments just now and ask you to exempt SNAP and WIC customers from having to pay the fee on SNAP and WIC transactions. Having the same rule apply to everyone might sound equitable, it might sound universal, but there are a lot of circumstances in which it's not. For a really obvious illustration of that principle, think about if every grocery store in Laurel was a couple of flights up or down the stairs. We'd have universal participation in climbing up and down the stairs. But for people who use wheelchairs or for people who with invisible disabilities like I have dealt with, that would not be universal participation. That would be an unfair and inequitable barrier. A little bit closer to home, we could have a rule, or closer to this issue, we could have a rule that grains could only be bought loose in bulk. But that would mean that my sisters who have celiac disease wouldn't be able to get groceries that were safe for them to eat. Universal participation in bulk purchasing, inequitable outcomes. And without adding the SNAP and WIC exemption for the fee, that is what you would have here. The same rule applied to everybody, but inequitable outcomes as a result of that. That wouldn't be equitable, that wouldn't be inclusive, that would be inequitable and exclusive. To address a couple of points that have come up, our suggested language only exempts transactions in which SNAP and WIC is being used on purpose. That is intentional. When someone is buying clothing, for example, they're already going to be paying with that in cash. But when someone is out with their groceries that they are relying on SNAP and WIC to buy, they could easily end up in a situation where they don't have that cash and they wouldn't be able to get a bag. So being that surgical in the language is very intentional. This policy is not confusing. It's very implementable. We know that because of all of the other places across the country that have done it. And I want to address any concern that council members might have with whether applying this exemption would require stores to invest in technology or whether applying the exemption just wouldn't work out. It absolutely would. Stores can easily implement this within the method that within the way that SNAP and WIC transactions already take place. And my colleague has spoken with a number of stores across Prince George's County that have confirmed that they can easily implement this exemption. You have a letter signed by 16 organizations who think that this policy is reasonable and support adding this fee exemption onto the bill, including, to very importantly correct the record, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation strongly supports adding this fee exemption. And you have, I believe, communication in your inbox this afternoon from a staff member at Chesapeake Bay Foundation urging you to pass this amendment. Finally, to address precedent, it's true that no other jurisdiction in Maryland has added this fee exemption following what would have been the better example of other jurisdictions across the country. That's a mistake. It can and should be corrected. And we know from experience in those jurisdictions that passing this bill, that failing to add this fee exemption will have inequitable outcomes. We know it firsthand. So Laurel has an opportunity here to be a leader and lead other jurisdictions in environmental justice by adding this fee exemption to the bill. And I hope that you'll do so. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I will close, as the last speaker signed up, I will close the general public hearing at 7:12 p.m. And I will see if there are any comments or questions on this from the council.
Mr. President, I know we discussed this at the last work session. We put this stuff in. I really want to pass the ordinance tonight. I know that what the county has done, the county is currently working on looking at solutions to revise theirs. I want to stay consistent with the county and our neighboring jurisdictions, so there's no confusion for anyone. I think we should strike out the section on the exemption and then look at this again later in the year. That way we can pass this tonight, start publicizing it, get it out there, and then we can always add it in later. I also think we should try to stay on consistent schedule with our neighboring jurisdictions and make this effective January 1st.
Okay. Well, any other comments from the council?
Is that going to be a motion by Mr. Cole because or Councilmember Cole, because I was under the understanding that we were going to scratch the amendment and just further make it the effective date January 1.
I can, Mr. DeWald, I can make that motion. I just wanted to put my comment out there while we were having discussion to see where everyone else stood.
Okay, because if we scratch it now and we vote on it, and whenever the effective date is, it's no more discussion as far as I'm concerned. I think we should be, all shoppers. I've heard one policy for all, and the amount of reusable bags that we give out at all of our events. I mean, even when I go to Weiss, if there's people that they brought groceries and they need an extra bag, I've seen the cashier just give them one, or I always take a couple extra, I give it to them. But it's a perspective that this has been going on for a long, long time. And people should have their mindset that you need to take a reusable bag to the store. And these plastic bags are just destroying our environment and the machinery that's needed to keep recycling going. And that would just be my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Any other comments?
Mr. President, if I could ask for clarification, if you'll indulge me. So is it my understanding the council wants to move on ordinance number 2008 with the following amendment, which would be where it states on page 4, where it's where it's D, that would be removed. E would become D. F would be E. G would be F, and H would be G. Along with down at the bottom and striking October the 1st, 2023 to January the 1st, 2024. Is that my understanding of what council's looking to do?
That seems to be the consensus of what the council is trying to do to move this bill forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Mr. President, I can make a motion to that effect. I move that we adopt ordinance number 2008 with the amendments to change the effective date to January 1st, 2024, striking section 9-116, part D, and relettering the following parts or the subsequent parts.
I second it.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
President Smith,
Yes.
I
Mayor Mo.
want to thank the council for all of their work and time on this, as well as staff and all those that participated on testifying on this. It's not only the SNAP and WIC that concerns, I think, everybody. It also is that the city of Laurel's poverty rate is, I think, roughly about 9.6, 9.7. So we need to make sure that we're dealing with everybody in the city. Our commitment is to make sure we work and get the bags to individuals here in the community, as well as continuing to work with the shopping centers, see if there's ways that we can make sure those that have an issue don't get charged. With that said, Mr. President, I'll concur with council action.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, moving on to agenda item number 16 is introduction and first public hearing on ordinance number 2014, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to repeal and replace Laurel City Code Chapter 17, Traffic, and providing for an effective date. I read the title into the record for the first public hearing. Chief Hamill, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Smith, and good evening, Mayor Mo and the other city council members present tonight. Before you is ordinance number 2014 as required by the City of Laurel Code, providing legislation to amend Laurel City Code Chapter 17, Traffic, by repealing and replacing the current Chapter 17. This is designed to update the city's traffic code to specifically address traffic parking concerns more effectively and to update language and provisions within the current code. This action is a result of a study of the code conducted by the Department of Public Works, the Department of the Fire Marshal and Permit Services, and the Police Department working together. This action will update traffic and parking regulations for the City of Laurel and allow for more effective traffic regulation and parking enforcement throughout our city, thereby enhancing the overall safety of the community throughout our entire city. Thank you for your time with this, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. President, I'd like to apologize to staff. I read through the bill over the weekend and had 16 questions, but found that they were sitting in my drafts. I did not send them, so those are sent out now. And I look forward to hearing responses on those.
Any other comments or questions from the council? All right, well, thank you, Chief Hamill. I'll open the public hearing at 7:20 p.m. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed to speak on this item? I don't see anyone on the list I have.
No, Mr. President, not on this item.
All right, well, I'll close the public hearing on this at 7:20 p.m. All right, the second public hearing with possible action on this item will be at the regular meeting of the July 24th, 2023 meeting at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Moving on to agenda item number 17, an introduction and first public hearing on ordinance number 2015, an ordinance amending the general operating budget and capital improvement program of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland, and for the fiscal year, July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and to provide an effective date. I've read the title into the record for the first public hearing. Director Saylor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor Mo, and council members. As I presented at tonight's work session, this third amendment to the FY 2023 operating budget and capital improvement program
There's a change to the operating budget of $10,536,952. That's a reduction. That keeps the budget balanced, the revenues and expenditures. There's also an increase to the capital improvement program of $25,888. And that is an increase to the fleet replacement project. The ordinance provides the appropriation of insurance funds, records the financial activities of the 4th of July committee, allows us to ratify the budget transfers that were done for the Department of Parks and Recreation to purchase equipment, and to the transfers done by the Department of Public Works for increases in disposal fees, additional staffing for the disposal container change out, as well as allocating and appropriating the insurance proceeds for vehicle maintenance, the plumbing work at the municipal center restroom, and the HVAC system at the Laurel Police Department. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Director Saylor. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed to speak on this? I don't have anyone on my list on this item.
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Open and close the public hearing at 7:23 p.m. And any questions or comments from the council before we move forward? All right, well, the second public hearing with possible action on this item will be at the regular meeting of July 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you, Director Saylor. All right, agenda item number 18 is the introduction and first public hearing on resolution number 6-2023, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to establish the City of Laurel No-Kill Community Animal Shelter Citizens Advisory Committee. I've read the title into the record for the first public hearing. Mayor Mo, you have the floor.
Mr. President, this is another item that we've been working with and dealing with for several months. This is what you all had passed a while back ago, requiring administration to move forward with putting together a CA Citizens Advisory Committee. And a lot of their duties will be to help, as I said earlier, with policy, looking at different ways of shelters, volunteers, all of those things that will be required as we move forward with the no-kill animal shelter. I'll answer any questions anybody may have, and if you have volunteers that are interested, we'd like to know that as well as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. President.
Sure, Councilman Cole.
I agree with the mayor. We have been talking about this for months. I don't think that there are any of us that are opposed to this resolution. I move that we suspend the rules and consider resolution number 6-2023.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, before I move on and call for the vote, I see that there is no one signed up to speak on this, so I will open and close the general public hearing on it, 7:25 p.m. And Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, President Smith,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, well.
With that, Mr. President, that was just a motion to suspend the rules. I'll move that we adopt resolution number 6-2023.
Can I get a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, President Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Mo.
I'll concur.
All right. Agenda item number 19 is introduction and first public hearing on the resolution number 7-2023, A resolution of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to pay tribute to the Honorable Joseph R. Robinson by renaming the Laurel Municipal Center as the Joseph R. Robinson Laurel Municipal Center. I've read the title into the record for the first public hearing. Mayor Mo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you said, this is a resolution number 7/2023 is to pay tribute to the Honorable Joseph R. Robinson by naming the Laurel Municipal Center as the Joseph R. Robinson Laurel Municipal Center. This is the first naming of a city facility following Administrative Policy 2021-1 that was officially adopted by the City Council on July the 26th, 2021. A resolution number 7-21, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland, titled City of Laurel Naming Policy for Park, Recreational Facilities, City-Owned Buildings, Streets, Alleyways, and other city facilities. With that said, I want to say that Mayor Robinson was a charter member of the Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad back in 1952, chairman of the board, and also is a member of the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department. Back in 1963, when Joe was the youngest fire chief to receive the Distinguished Service Award from the JCs for Laurel's Most Outstanding Young Man of the Year. Joe was elected to serve on Laurel City Council Ward 1 on March the 21st, 1988. He was elected mayor on March the 21st, 1990, and he served until March the 21st, 1994. During his time, Mayor Robinson was actively engaged and participated in the Maryland Municipal League through their committees and their conferences. During his term, it's interesting that we were talking about other things tonight, but Joe he started the mandatory recycling program that we have today, although it's changed a little bit. This was done back in 1990. This was one of the first programs, or I think the first program in Prince George's County. He authorized the use of the Factory House by the Laurel Historical Society as a museum. In 1991, he established the sports park down off of 198. A new community center was designed and built, and the purchase and renovation of the present municipal center we are now in was completed under Mayor Robinson. He served on numerous task forces and committees throughout the state, whether it be municipal government, fire service, or rescue. He was very involved, as I said, throughout the state. He was a president of the Maryland Fire Chiefs as well as the Maryland Municipal League. He served on numerous charter committees here in the city, review committees here in the city of Laurel. He also chaired the city's year-long 125th anniversary committee. And Joe was a charter member of the City of Laurel's Emergency Services Commission and remained a member until 2019. He also was served as a past president of the Greater Laurel Beltsville chapter of the American Red Cross for 3 years and received numerous awards throughout the state of Maryland. There's more that can be said. I provided that information to you all, but this is our first reading, and we hope that council will concur. And I'll answer any questions you may have, Mr. President.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
I'd like to make a comment, Mr.
Sure,
President.
Councilman.
A short one. This is a well-deserved tribute to a great man. The one sentence under the bio that Mayor Mo had written for him, I know some people never worked with Joe. Some people didn't even know him, but this describes Joe to a T. The Honorable Joseph R. Joe Robinson was an unselfish and loyal individual who was committed to his God, family, state, county, and most of all, the city of Laurel. That pretty much sums up who Joe was. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Any other comments from the council before I move to the general public hearing on this?
Mr. President, I have one. I think this might be more for the administration. How often is it that other municipalities rename their municipal center after an individual?
I can't give you a number. There's quite a few. There's a couple in Prince George's County that I'm aware of, and I don't have anything in writing that I can get. I'll see if I can find out before the next meeting.
Thank you.
Councilman Cole. Well, I know we have one person signed up to speak, Madam Clerk, because that is on my list.
Mr.
And
Mr. President, I'm sorry. I just do want to make for the record, and I just checked it just now. Excuse me. Checked it just now. There is two under the policy. It does require 2 general public hearings before any action can be taken. Thank you.
I will open the public hearing at 7:32 p.m. and I will call on Mitzi Robinson Bettman speaking. Ms. Bettman, are you there?
I am here, Council President. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening to you, Mayor Mo, and council members. I am Mitzi Bettman, 7703 Stratfield Lane, Laurel, Maryland. I am here tonight with my mother, Joanne, and my sister, Betty Ann, to speak in support of the resolution to name the municipal center after my father, Joseph R. Robinson. We would like to thank you for introducing this resolution. And we wanted to let you know that we're available tonight and over the next several weeks prior to the next public hearing to answer any questions you might have or just to share with you more about the life of Joe Robinson. Dad loved Laurel and the people that lived and worked here. He was a fierce defender of everything Laurel. As many of you know, Dad lived his entire life within the city limits. He took civic responsibility and community service very seriously, and he lived these qualities as an Army veteran, a Postal Service employee, a volunteer firefighter, council member, mayor, and as an engaged member of preserving and retelling Laurel's history. Dad's knowledge of Laurel's history was described as encyclopedic, and he loved to share stories about the people, the many houses of worship, the many businesses, and the many fires around Laurel. He led walking tours for both young and old and loved to visit schools to talk to children. Dad was always generous with his time and his knowledge to help anyone find answers to questions about Laurel. Throughout his life, Dad worked to make the city of Laurel a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you very much in advance for your support of this resolution. And that concludes my remarks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Bettman. She's the only person signed up, so I will close the public hearing at 7:34 p.m. And before I move on from this, I'll ask if the council has any other comments or questions before I move on. All right. Well, the second public hearing with possible action on this item will be at the regular meeting of July 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Agenda item number 20 is an adjournment for closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to a closed session. I'll need a second before I ask Madam Clerk to call the roll for the vote. Just a reminder not to leave the Zoom. Call until I have read the statement for the going to the closed session into the record, which I will do after Madam Clerk calls the roll on the motion. All right, and can I entertain a motion?
Mr. President, make a motion to adjourn to a closed session to seek legal advice.
All right, and can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Sednor,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Guess we can.
Councilman Kawhi,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell, President Smith.
Yes. So the following statement is made regarding the adjournment of the mayor and city council to closed session on this date. The reason for adjourning to a closed session is to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. The authority for this closed session is contained in the general provisions article, subsection 3-305, B, section 7. All
Mr.
right,
President,
sure.
we would need the clerk, the CA, the deputy CA, and Mr. Love in the executive session with us. And I'm going to release the others to go home.
Okay,
But that's who we need in there as well.
all
Thank you,
right.
Mr.
So if everyone who received the Teams invite, please leave to the Teams meeting and we'll resume back to the Zoom to close. to adjourn.
Mr. President, if I could just ask if Mr. Cornwell Shield can stay on. I've made him the co-host to keep this meeting up on Laurel TV while we adjourn to the Teams meeting.
Sure, Madam Clerk.
Will
All right. I will see you guys on the Teams meeting. One more second just for the. Call the meeting back in order at 7:59 p.m. and there being no further business to come before the mayor and city council, this meeting is adjourned.